start by thanking you guys for coming in. My name's Kyle, and I'm going to be the mediator today.
My name is Amanda. I'm going to be his co-mediator.
We have a name that you'd like to be called by?
Mike.
Troy. Okay. How was the trip?
It was alright.
Good? Okay. So, I have not contacted with either of you before this. I just want to let you both know how I've never met with you. I've never met with you, so I am partial to both parties.
So am I.
Have you ever been to mediation before?
No, never mediation
So how I practice mediation is I use confidentiality. So any notes that we take today are going to be destroyed after we leave. You can take notes as well. And I just ask you, if someone says something that you don't agree with, just write it down and let the other person finish talking. And we'll get to that when it's your turn to go. So my role in the process is to just facilitate, kind of move it along to help you guys both get your points out. No one is right or wrong in this scenario. I'm just here to kind of facilitate you guys, go over the concerns that you have, and I want you to feel empowered to make decisions on your own. And I'm not a decision maker, so that's what I wanted to go over today.
This process is informal. We're not lawyers. We're not here to advise you. We're here just so that both parties have a platform for you guys to tell your stories and for everyone to kind of listen to each other. If you guys have any documents that you want us to overlook, we can, but we're not gonna, go over it and stuff like that into detail. This is an informal process. We call each other by our first names and stuff like that. This is a opportunity that allows people to talk and listen. We're not in the business of making decisions. You guys will be responsible for the decision if a decision is made. You guys came here voluntarily. You guys can leave voluntarily as well. If it gets too hot and heavy in here, if it's too emotional, if it's too much stress, then we can absolutely take a break, or we can finish for the day and come back at another time.
And if you guys want to meet separately with one of us, just let us know. We'll all leave the room. We can talk separately. It can be confidential. That we don't have to bring it up to the other person. But if we meet with one person, we'll meet with the other person, just so you don't feel left out. You can talk about anything you feel uncomfortable with that you don't want to say in front of the other party. Anything about the mediation process. And again, if we meet with one of you individually, we'll all walk out, come back in, and we'll do the same thing with the other person.
So the process is, we start with the person who initially wanted to come to mediation. We let them voice their opinions first, introduce themselves, and introduce why you guys are here. After that, there will be a opportunity for us to kind of brainstorm and see if we can resolve the conflict, resolve the issue at hand. If not, then that's okay. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. We're not going to pressure you into doing something that you guys don't want to do.
So again, if you have any questions or any concerns when the other person's talking, just write it down, and we'll get to you when the other person starts finishing. Do you have any questions so far? So. Alright, so now we're going to start with the opening statements. So you brought this up to mediation, so if you want to start with telling us a little bit why we're here.
Well, we're here because I actually purchased a car from Troy. It was a present from my daughter.
Okay.
Right? And it was a 2003 Ford. Like I said, it was supposed to be a present for her. He gave me a okay price, $5,000. I thought personally it was a little bit too much, but I mean it's for my kid, like, do what you do. So after a few weeks, things were going fine, and then I get a call from her. The car breaks down with her on the road.
Okay.
So my kid is panicking on the road, trying to figure out what's going on. She sounds frustrated. Of course, I'm frustrated because my kid is stuck. You know, the car that she just got isn't working. So I bring it to the shop. It turns out that because the car hasn't been active, I guess you can say, in so long, it should have been brought in for a tune-up. And I feel like that's information that I should have known before I bought the car.
Okay.
So I actually looked up the value of the car, and the book value is actually around $4,000. So I felt like I paid a little bit too much for the car.
Okay.
$4,000 for the car, brand new. So if the car is used, it's around $3,000, and I paid $5,000. So not only did I pay a lot to purchase the car, I feel like it's gonna be a lot more to fix the car, and I feel like I was misguided, so I shouldn't really have to pay for it.
Okay. So, would you like to give your opening statement?
Yes, okay, so I'm going through a really stressful time. My grandma recently had cancer, so there's a lot of money going back and forth between the hospital and stuff like that. I'm trying to take care of all her bills for the house and to make sure everything is paid off. So I recently decided to sell her car that she had. I would go start it up, say every once in a week. So the car was in working condition, and I sold it as is on the website. I sold it for $5,500. I told the person that everything was as you see, take as is, and I even had the person drive it away once it was sold. So now there's a complaint that the car is not working after it was already taken off the lot and sold as is.
So you sold your grandmother's car.
Right.
Okay. And the first sale was to him,
Yes.
and he drove it off the lot
Drove off the lot as is.
for $5,500. So you said you feel like you should have known about the problem. Tell me more about that.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna sell me a car, the least you can do is tell me what's wrong with it.
Okay.
I understand you're selling it to me as is, but how am I supposed to know what's wrong with it? You know, like it's kind of like misguiding. The car can look fine, but internally something can be wrong with it.
Okay, so you feel upset that you were sold a car that you felt that something was wrong with it without being told about that.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're gonna sell me something, at least be upfront with me and let me know what's wrong with it. Don't just tell me, well, you know, the way it is, the way it is. 'Cause it may look fine, but at the same time, you never know, something can go wrong with it. Like,
Okay.
starting the car alone isn't really. I mean, like you can start the car, but at least let me know that it hasn't been moving for so long.
Troy, do you have anything to say?
When I listed it as is and I started the car, I instructed the person that once it starts and as is and you'd like it, that once you take it off, you would agree to all the conditions that the car was taken exactly how you found it. You started up the car and the engine, and you ripped the engine out and tried on every seatbelt, make sure the seatbelts work, whatever. Everything you saw there in that day, in that state, in that condition, was the terms in which you agreed to buy the car.
So what I'm getting from both of you guys is, what I'm getting from hearing you, I just want to sum it up so we can clarify some things. Is that Mike bought a car for his daughter at what was the price?
$5,500.
At $5,500, and a couple of weeks you bought it for your daughter as a present. You got it from Troy. You guys found it on the internet. You guys corresponded through the internet.
On Craigslist.
On Craigslist, okay. And then a few weeks after you bought the car, your daughter was driving on the highway and that it broke down. When she called you panicking, you were also panicking because you didn't know how to help her in the situation. And then when you took it to the mechanic, the mechanic said that there were problems, there were complications due to the fact that the car hadn't been tuned up, correct?
Exactly.
And what I'm hearing from you is that you were maybe having some, well, you sold the car and you would, once a week, you would, turn on the car, make sure that it ran, and you thought that it was in good condition, correct?
I see you wrote some things down. Do you want to?
I already spoke on that. Like,
Okay.
I mean, you said it was that you were selling it to me as is, but I mean, I understand you're going through things with your family, but that really has nothing to do with me in terms of you selling me a car. That's for my daughter. I mean, the least you could have done was let me know exactly what was wrong instead of just saying as is, because things aren't always as what they seem. It
Okay.
can look fine, but it may not really be fine internally.
So the issue we have here is you feel like you received a car that you should have known about, had a mistake with it,
Yeah.
and then your issue would be you told him that the car is as is.
I felt like, to my knowledge, that there was nothing wrong with the car as far as it starting and coming off the lot. Anything after that, that was on the buyer to look after it. Whether it needed a tune-up, it needed an oil change. I told you that once the car starts, you agree to that condition that it's in. Everything here on after is all on you.
Well, before selling a car, maybe you should have it checked out so you know exactly what's wrong with
If
it.
you're selling a car as is, there's no need for any modifications or me to put anything extra on my part because as is agreeing to that in that condition.
But how
Anything
can
here
you
on out, if it breaks down afterwards or if there's something they said you need to fix a tire or anything, that's all after as is. As is. Nothing added to it, no modifications, nothing. No extra money on my part.
How can you sell
So
me
we're
a car?
gonna meet with each one of you individually. So if we all just want to step out of the room, and then we'll come back in with one of you, and then we'll come back. We'll all leave again, and come back in with the other one, and then bring you guys together again. Does that sound fair for everybody? So,
Or do you want to, we can all go out and then keep it running while we bring in. Want to keep
you want
it
to keep running?
Yeah,
Okay.
just to give an example of how a caucus would go.
Yeah. Huh? No, you can compare. So I guess we'll go over like the issues a little bit more, and then after the caucus, we'll start generating options. We'll ask you what will make you happy, and we'll ask you what will make you happy, and then we'll start like compromise a little bit. Okay? So who wants to go first? You wanna go ahead? Sure. You wanna lead it?
Alright, sure.
Do you wanna lead it? So
Hey, Troy. So we called a caucus. So we called a caucus because we felt like things were kind of at a stalemate, and we wanted to know, how we could move it forward, sort of.
we just wanted to almost relieve the pressure a little bit. You kind of started like tensions were getting high, so we wanted to call this, meet with you individually, and just identify some of your issues a little bit more, try to help organize them. So like you said, you feel like you sold the car as is, and that's his responsibility for.
Anything.
So is that the only issue? Do you feel like
I mean, despite all that's going on right now, I do feel bad for what happened.
Okay.
I do have some money left over on the side, so
Okay.
I have an uncle of mine who does fixes cars and can do the tune-up for about like $100.
Okay.
And let's do a tune-up and just do a thorough inspection of the car, or I can just give that $100 and they can just do an inspection somewhere else
Okay.
at a shop in Dayton.
Okay, so we're gonna meet with Mike. So we're all gonna leave the room again, talk to him. This is confidential, what we talked about in here. So we're not gonna share what we talked about with him. We're just gonna all go out, come back in with him, and then we'll bring you back in. Yeah, come on.
So we called it caucus because we felt like there was too much tension in the room and you guys were kind of at a deadlock. So we wanted to ease, the situation and kind of bring it down a little bit. We spoke to, should I mention it? Yeah. So we spoke to Troy. We got his side. We want now to hear your side. How do you feel things are going and what kind of things do you want to come out of this?
Anything you say to us is confidential, and we're not going to bring it up to Troy if you don't want that. So you can give us more issues that you have if you didn't want to say in front of him or anything else that's on your mind.
It's just a stressful time. Holidays coming up. Me and her mother are kind of going through things right now, so I'm just trying to be the best dad I can be. I had to deal with the whole daddy wasn't there phase, so just trying to, do right by her. But right now it's like that whole situation kind of backfired. That's pretty much what it is, just straight frustration.
Okay. So you have frustration about the car. So we're gonna
Ideally, what would you like to happen in this situation?
Ideally, I would like for him to at least pay for this because I feel like.
Would you want to keep the car?
Well, yeah, I'll keep the
If
car
it gets
because she's
fixed?
already attached to it.
Okay.
So it would make I wouldn't want to take that away from her.
Okay.
She
You don't-
already kind of hates me, so I'm not going to take it away from her.
So we want to go back again.
Yeah.
I don't know. So we called that caucus just for to meet with individually, want to release some tension. So
So the issue at hand is the car, am I correct?
we see a similar issue about how the car was sold.
So, can I say that ideally what would you like to happen in this situation? So I would like to hear from both of you of what kind of outcome you would like to happen. If you guys think that an outcome can happen.
So you feel like you want the car to be fixed, and you said you feel like it was sold as is. So if you have any ideas of what you would like to happen, we can write them down. And if we have any similar ideas, we can find a way to work with that.
I'm not even asking to be reimbursed for the money that I feel I was gypped out. All I'm asking for is some type of compensation in the form of you paying for the tune.
So do we know how much the tune-up would cost?
$550.
The tune-up would cost $550 to fix the car.
And Troy, how do you feel about that?
I have someone that can fix cars that will do the tune-up for $50, and I'll give you $100. That's the issue. I'll go to another shop and get other prices. I know that tune-up is not $550, so I'll be willing to give you $100 to go and take care of the tune-up, change the spark plugs, whatever for the car.
So the person is charging $50 for the complete tune-up.
Complete job, tune-up, get everything. Spark plugs, fuel filter, everything.
So the issue would be you would want the car to be fixed, and then you're saying that you have somebody that could fix the car, and you would fund that.
Yes.
Does that sound reasonable?
Sounds reasonable. I could.
I think so. So is it okay, so from what I'm hearing is that Troy, you have somebody that can fix this, that can give the car a tune-up for $50, and you're also willing, if that doesn't work out, then you're willing to give $100 so that Mike can get a tune-up. And Mike, does that work for you?
I mean, if it's right, you fix the car completely, you're not doing a bad job at it. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
works. So again, all the notes that we have are going to be destroyed after this meeting. I'm going to throw mine out. She's going to throw her out. And I suggest if you guys have any notes, throw out, and to keep in mind this was a confidential mediation.
Okay, hello guys. So we're meeting today because you guys both agreed to mediate, right? My name is Chanel, and this is my co-mediator. Is there any preferred name you'd like for us to refer to you as?
Kyle's fine.
Kyle? Amanda's fine.
Mine is fine.
Mine is fine. Okay. Have you ever been in mediation before?
No.
Yes. No. So you do know that everything we speak in here today will be confidential. I wouldn't be able to speak to this about anyone else or give out information. It'll be strictly confidential. We won't be. I'm not here. We're both here just to facilitate this process for you guys, for you to come to an agreement. We won't be able to make decisions for you, give our opinions, or judge. We're not therapists. We're not here. This is although a therapeutic process. Okay.
I think anytime someone is talking, like if you wait till the other person is finished and then go after that person. Also, anytime you feel uncomfortable with somebody saying something and you just want to just speak directly to us, you can call a caucus and we'll have to just all step outside. And we and the other person will just come back inside and we'll discuss the caucus. Individually.
And that too will be confidential.
Also,
Do you have any questions so far?
What if you have a legal document?
A legal document? No, there's no evidence. We don't use any evidence or any documentation for anything here. Okay? We're gonna identify the issues by what you guys say. No presenting evidence. This is very informal. Okay. Who wants to start? Who wants to explain? Actually, here we go. I'm gonna give you guys sheets of paper. And you're gonna write down. So we're gonna listen to each other. There's no interrupting. There's no arguing. We're gonna try to keep this as civilized as possible. And you can write down while he's speaking, if you have something to say, because we're not interrupting, you're gonna write it down, and then when it's your time to speak, you can bring it up, and we can discuss it together.
any questions before we start?
Okay.
So who's the one that called the mediation? Guys. Okay, so you guys start first by telling us your topic.
So, Kyle owns this really good Thai restaurant, and our family has been going there for a really long time. And over the course of the years, we developed some type of friendship and bond. And, we consider each other really good friends. Our son loves eating at the restaurant. We like the staff. We like Kyle. He's a really good guy. So, one day, for our son's birthday, we took him to eat at his favorite restaurant, and we noticed that there was a new waiter, and we weren't too sure about it. But then the waiter turned out to be, he was friendly and stuff like that. So we were like, okay, we'll give this guy a shot. The food comes in, and all of a sudden, my son can't breathe, and we're panicking because we realized he's having an allergic reaction. And we've been going to this restaurant for so long that everyone in the staff knows that he has this allergic reaction to peanuts. So, we were panicking because he couldn't breathe. We were upset because, everyone at the restaurant knows this. So I don't know why there would be peanuts in my son's food. And, you know, the whole ordeal was just frightening. And, you know, we want something to be done.
What do you suggest? What would you like to be done? I understand your frustration, and you know that you might have been scared for your son's health. But
Well-
what would you like Mr. Kyle to do for you?
I mean, he can start off by apologizing because he never apologized for anything. None of the staff ever apologized for what happened. You know, my son likes going there, and now all of a sudden we can't go there because we're not sure about if it's gonna happen again. So, you know, something needs to be done about that. And we have this bill, and it's like, you know, a part of it is their fault. So we want them to pay.
I mean, we're regular customers, so we feel like we were in a way let down because we almost lost our child due to their negligence. I feel like they should have known better. You know, they should have known better because we've been going there for a long time. It's our son's favorite spot. So,
Did at any point the waiter ask if there was anybody with allergic reactions?
We feel at the restaurant that, of course, we're sorry that happened, but we feel we're not responsible completely. We feel that the parents of the child, if they notice a new waiter, should have informed the waiter about his reaction, regardless of how many times he's been to our restaurant. How our restaurant is very busy and it's hard to remember everything about certain individuals, especially when we have a new staff. So we feel as a restaurant, we're not personally responsible for the allergic reactions, and the parents are when they take their kid out to a restaurant. So that's what we feel like, we're not personally responsible for that, and parents should have had an EpiPen also with them, especially eating out at a restaurant with a new waiter who they didn't live for.
And how do you guys feel about what you just said?
I mean, we've been going there for years, so we have some type of relationship. You know, it's not just exactly. We've been there how many years? So yes, we should have brought the EpiPen, but at the same time, like I said, we've been there for how long? So they already know the situation. We feel that comfortable that we didn't have to bring it with us because he knows us. So the fact that he's saying, well, we're not responsible, or we don't know, we don't know everybody. Like, you know us. We've been there for how long now? So
So it seems like they feel like out of courtesy maybe, or maybe out of the friendship and the bond that we have together, that maybe you could have taken that into consideration and maybe attended them, taken care of them.
Well, with the busy restaurant and a new staff, it's hard to keep up with learning everybody's allergies. So we feel like we're not legally responsible for what happened, even though we do feel sorry. Everything that's going on with the new staff, it's hard to keep up even if you have personal relationships with people.
I have a question. When you train your new staff, do you train them to ask whether someone has an allergic reaction when they're getting someone's order?
No, that's on the parents or the people who have an allergic reaction.
So you in no way have a sign or tell your staff to say, if you have an allergic reaction, this is what's on the menu. If you're allergic to shellfish, we have shellfish on the menu. If you're allergic to peanuts, we have peanuts. If you're allergic to mushrooms, we have mushrooms.
Well,
I think
everything
as a restaurant, you should have a sign saying that.
everything on the menu has the ingredients. So as a restaurant, we're not responsible for telling people about their allergies. We have the ingredients on the underneath what we have to eat, and then everybody else is responsible if they have a certain reaction or certain allergy to tell us, and we'll tell them if we can make it without that certain thing.
Sometimes even with ingredients, I think there's a possibility that something could have been transferred over, like spatula, maybe touched.
Well, that's why if
contact
someone comes in with a certain reaction to something, we'll take precautions. But if someone doesn't tell us, we make it as we make every other food for every other customer, 99% of the
you're
time.
just speaking like you don't know us. Like we haven't been there.
But what I'm saying is, we feel sorry, but we're not legally responsible for asking everybody what their allergic reactions are, especially with the new staff, even though they've been to us a lot of times. We shouldn't be legally responsible for someone not asking about allergies.
Okay, well, that's one of the purposes of mediation. They are requesting maybe, you know, for you to consider the bill for the little fright that they had with their child. He did have an allergic reaction, and it's not really a legal issue. If they just feel like there was a bond between you.
I just want to interject for a moment. Maybe you weren't legally responsible, but as their friends and long-time customers, maybe there was something you could have done with their part. Hey, I'm sorry about the allergic reaction that your son had. Apology or something.
Do you think you could apologize for this inconvenience?
Well, yeah, we said as a restaurant we're sorry about the reaction the kid had, but we're just saying that it should be the parent's responsibility to notice the new waiters. But we do apologize for what happened, but we shouldn't be held legally responsible.
So, how do you feel about what they are requesting, what they're asking for? So they're asking that maybe, they shouldn't pay the bill. That's how they feel.
For what, the hospital bill?
Yes.
Again, as a restaurant, we wouldn't be able to pay the hospital bill because we don't feel, even though we're sorry, we don't feel responsible for the hospital bill. Maybe we could work something else out, but for the hospital bill, we, as a restaurant, wouldn't be able to do that.
Even as a long-time customer.
No, as
I hope you know right now you're burning the bridge that we built over the years.
as a business, we don't feel legally responsible for the hospital bill. Maybe we could work something out with a food voucher, something along that lines. But we feel, as a business, it's the customer's responsibility to bring an EpiPen if they go out to a restaurant or inform new waiters. Even though we had a personal relationship, it's hard to keep up with everybody's individual allergic reactions as when you own a restaurant when you're serving thousands of people a day. So again, we do feel sorry for that, but we're not legally responsible for a hospital bill.
How do you, the guest, feel about what Kyle has to say?
Well, I mean, I don't appreciate the fact that he's very informed about the situation. I mean, we know each other. Like, I call him Kyle. Like, he's not even looking at me. He's not even calling me by my first name. And that upsets me even more because it's like,
Because of some kid.
Kyle, do you understand that they feel let down, neglected?
Yeah, we do as a restaurant in our personal relationship, and we said we feel sorry for what happened, but we can't be responsible for the hospital bill. Maybe we could work something out to.
I mean, we're not asking for you to pay the whole hospital bill. We have insurance. We always carry our EpiPen. It was this one time that we didn't carry it, and it was unfortunate that was the day that we needed it the most.
I mean, granted, you should have carried it, but at the same time, the staff knew that he was allergic. So,
But that particular staff
Wasn't
member
aware of the
wasn't aware because he was new.
But they're not even trained to ask whether someone has an allergic reaction or not. What he ordered didn't have. I wouldn't order something for my son, or he wouldn't order something that has mushrooms, knowing that he's allergic to that. So somehow mushrooms got onto his plate, and it's like that's something that I can't control. That's something my son can't control. That's something that the people that serve the food can't control. As a chef, something has to happen back in the kitchen.
So did you say that the plate you ordered did not have mushrooms listed on the menu?
No. Why would we
And
order something that we know is gonna potentially kill our son? That doesn't make any sense. We're not negligent parents.
Also, there seems to be an issue with the ingredients on his plate.
What we ordered from what the waiter wrote down was everything that they ordered, all the ingredients were on the sheet. When we originally came here and said they were allergic, but they ordered something that has it on the menu, but they expect it to be taken out. And as a new waiter, he didn't know that, so everything that was on the menu, including the peanuts, they ordered something with peanuts, but forgot to say without the peanuts because they were a new waiter.
So, because there might have been a certain misunderstanding or mistake, you think there's might be partly liability on your account on behalf of the restaurant,
We apologize that it happened, but we don't feel legally responsible for them ordering something.
even though there might have been a misunderstanding on your part, which could have caused.
Well,
something.
they ordered a certain item on the menu, and the waiter brought out the same exact item just with peanuts because he didn't know to take out that certain item.
You keep saying we as a restaurant.
As a system, so you have not only saying about how you feel, because you're
Yes,
in a
Kyle,
mediation.
because they have a relationship with you that they think that it's valuable because it's been so long, 30 years. Do you think that maybe you can agree to pay partially the bill? First off, you did apologize as a restaurant, but do you think you have you owe them an apology for yourself, for the friendship that you have? Maybe
Yeah,
we
we-
can start off with that.
Not,
You
not
can-
we, Kyle.
Does
you,
Kyle
feel
feel-
that you should apologize?
Yeah, as a business person, I do. But again, we don't feel legally responsible for the bill, but we do. I do apologize for owning a business and that happening.
So you as the owner apologize for the incident that happened.
Yes, but we don't feel legally responsible for the.
So, as a part of your, I guess, compromise, the most you're willing to do is extend an apology.
I feel like we could work something out with a voucher or something along that line for the restaurant.
You guys accept the voucher.
I think Kyle, another thing is, their main concern was the child's health. Do you think that maybe for the future you will train your employees
To ask
to
for-
ask if there's anybody, to ask before taking an order? Is there anything that you are allergic to before we take this order?
I mean, we have, just like every other menu, we have certain ingredients that most people are allergic to on the menu as a warning, but as a waiter asking thousands of people a day, are you allergic to peanuts, are you allergic to shrimp, are you allergic to this? We have a warning on the menu, and then as a customer, it's your responsibility if you come into a restaurant that you have to tell the waiter or tell the chef or tell the owner that you're allergic to something.
So you don't think it's a good idea to have the waiter ask, is there anything that should not be on this plate?
No, we have it on the menu and signs, and then everything else is on the customer. But we feel like we could work something out for our personal relationship as something for what happened.
Do you suggest anything in particular?
Besides the voucher or any type of, I guess, discount.
We can give a food voucher.
How do you guys feel about the voucher? Would you accept this voucher?
I mean,
And for next time, maybe.
we're not gonna accept the voucher for the simple fact that, we build a friendship and then all of a sudden now Kyle's like, oh well, I'm a businessman and I'm an owner of a restaurant and we as the business don't do that and stuff, which is like, no, you know us by our first names, we know you by our first names, we know about your family, like we invited each other over for dinner for holidays. So all of a sudden now, like that's out the window. So no, I'm not gonna eat at your restaurant, I'm not gonna give you my money. What we are kind of suggesting is maybe that as a restaurant, maybe you guys can have on hand an EpiPen just in case that there is another emergency, and not necessarily with us, but with somebody else. That you guys just as a restaurant and as a precaution to your business carry, have an EpiPen on hand at the store.
So it seems as like their interest has shifted from the personal to you as a restaurant becoming more weren't responsible. But you're being negligent with that. You're not giving in. So you're willing to lose regular customers and been in a friendship.
Well, what we're saying is we have all the legal responsibilities of the restaurant as a cardiac arrest machine, all the signs, the choking signs, everything that we're legally responsible to have. EpiPens are different for individuals, so we're not going to carry 50 EpiPens if something happens for customer. I mean, I personally feel bad, the business feels bad for what happened, but legally, our standards are up to the state's codes. And like I said, they didn't have the EpiPen on that day, and they usually do. What we're saying is, since there was a new waiter, that should have been informed, and I feel sorry for that. So I'd be willing to give them a large money voucher for the restaurant, but in legality, we're up to code for everything.
So what you're basically saying is you wouldn't want to spend a little extra just to save a life because we almost lost our son, and you wouldn't want to prevent that from happening again.
Well, we have all the certain codes in for our restaurant, all the legal codes.
So again, you wouldn't want to spend just a little bit more to save a life.
Or at least train your staff to ask whether someone has allergies, or do you prefer something be removed from your plate or anything like that?
We've never had this problem before. We have all the ingredients on the sheets. We have the allergy warnings. We have all the safety precautions. So there's not much more we can do other than when people come in, they tell their waiter or waitress what they're allergic to because we have everything set up already. And in this particular instance, it was our personal relationship, and we do feel bad from a loyal customer getting sick. So that's why we'd be willing to give a large voucher for the restaurant, but in legality stances, we have everything set up already, up to code.
And are your staff trained in performing CPR and stuff like that, or no? Because your waiter completely freaked out and didn't know what to do.
Staff aren't mandated to train for CPR.
So if there's an emergency that happens and someone is choking, then your staff wouldn't know how to handle that situation at all.
There are choking signs to the restaurant as per the state statute.
I'm sorry, but I thought those signs were to assist the staff, and the staff was supposed to be aware of how to help the customers because the customer.
Well, yeah. There's what the state has is a sheet that has what you're supposed to do, and that's where it's supposed to be. So everything according to the state law is in our restaurant where it's supposed to be up to code.
You're talking about like law and legality, but we're trying to come from a not personal, but like moral standpoint. Because
Well, yeah.
you're pretty much saying that you would much rather abide by the law than actually take a moral route and kind of try and help save a life.
Well, that's what we have. It's never happened before, and that's why we're saying, since our personal relationship, we're ready to offer you a voucher for the restaurant. Everything else we can't fix in the restaurant.
A voucher is not
From a person.
like it can't replace the fact that we almost lost our son.
Or what's to happen? What's to prevent it from happening again to somebody else? What are the this is the first time that it happens and no one was equipped to deal with the situation. Who's to say that this situation might happen again to somebody else?
Well, everything in our restaurant's up to code, and if it happens again, people are supposed to bring EpiPens if they have certain allergic reactions.
So on your part and your staff, nothing's going to change. You're going to go about like business as usual.
For us, everything in the restaurant is where it needs to be. So we again feel sorry for what happened, but everything that happened is under state code, so there's nothing we can do extra to prevent this from happening again other than maybe bolding the words or making them bigger about the certain allergens on the menu. But other than that, it's supposed to be the people coming into restaurants. Maybe we can bold those certain things, inform you to ask if certain ingredients are on the menu.
Okay, so you're willing to tweak things a little bit. You're willing to take that extra step and
Yeah, we're willing to take that step and
Making
And-
signs bigger does not help. It really does not help. Like,
Right, I'm saying is, will you consider what they've proposed and maybe, training your staff members to ask?
I mean, that's the least you can do. You're not paying for them to ask. You don't want to help us with the bill. You don't want to pay for extras. The least you can do is.
well, we
give
said
them
we'd
the
help with the
extra
bill. We said we'd pay for the bill.
Oh, really?
So you will help with the medical.
Oh, the medical bill, no, we won't.
So
Okay.
you won't help with the medical bill. You won't get the EpiPen. The least you can do is at least give them the extra training and have them ask, just in case. Because I mean, people, you can't overlook something on the internet.
Right.
So the least you can do is ask, are you allergic to anything? And if they are, then well, it is innocent. Just let them know.
Now, how do you feel about that? I feel like that would be the agreement here. They're interested in having and not having this happen to somebody else. It already happened to them, and you're willing to they're willing to they're just asking for you to take precautions for further.
Do you think as a business, as a practice that you can adopt as a preventative measure for next time?
I mean, I'm sure as a business we can find some things to do to warn people. It is a Thai restaurant, so there's many peanuts, shrimp, certain allergens that people are allergic to that coming into a Thai restaurant, they should know themselves. But as a business, we'd be willing to maybe go some extra steps to inform people a little more about certain allergens.
And what kind of exercise are you talking
The menus, we'd be willing to, again, reinforce that if we cook with, as peanuts, as Thai restaurant, that's the main ingredient.
How will you enforce it?
Enforce what?
You said you're willing to reinforce it. How will you reinforce it?
Coming to a Thai restaurant, people should know the main ingredient is peanuts, but if they don't, maybe put it on the menu, put a little thing saying our ingredients are cooked with peanuts, our ingredients are cooked with shrimp. So when you look at the menu, you see it, you have an allergen, you don't expect a waiter to tell you if it's right there. You tell a waiter, if you go to a restaurant, you carry an EpiPen. But other than us informing a little more, the responsibility is from the state law on the customer. But we can go that extra step and inform people a little more by putting it on the menu.
What about redoing your menu so that the ingredients are maybe a little bit more bold?
Yeah,
and
that's what I
people
said.
can see them better. And the little sign that says, if you have allergies, be aware of. I don't think it should be a little sign. I think it should probably be in the front of the menu, and it should probably be in bold saying, "Listen, warning, pay attention," something to warn people.
Yeah, we can do that.
So it seems like we've come to an agreement, and this has been a successful mediation.
So everyone agrees to the terms?
Does everyone agree? Does anybody have any questions or concerns? Okay.
We'd like to thank you all for coming in today.
My name is Mike. This is my co-mediator, Troy.
Kyle.
Kyle, excuse me. What is your preferred name? Troy.
Optional. You can call me Amanda.
Okay. Has anybody ever been in mediation before? Okay. So, in this process, we're just here to pretty much guide you guys in your conversations. We're not here to really judge or anything of the sort.
We haven't had contact with any of you personally before, and we were both randomly assigned to this case. So we have not spoken to either one of you before right now.
Everything that's being said in this room is going to be kept to ourselves, confidential. You are allowed to take notes, but at the end of this mediation, all the notes will have to be destroyed. Okay? Any questions?
So basically, our role is just to facilitate the process and help it move it along. You guys generate options yourself, and we're just here to guide you guys. There's no right or wrong. You guys can let us know all the concerns you have, and we can try to push it in the right direction. But again, you guys are the decision makers.
If at any point we feel that the conversation is getting a little bit too tense or heated, we will call for a caucus. Does anyone know what that means? Alright, so a caucus is basically when we pull both parties out of a room and we bring you guys in one at a time. So if there's anything that you want to tell us, feel free to tell us. If you want it to be kept between you and us, we can keep it that way. If you don't mind us speaking freely about it, then we can do that also. Okay?
And if we meet with one person, we'll meet with the other person the same way, and we won't discuss what happened if you don't want that.
Any questions?
So again, this is an informal process. If you have any legal documents, we'll look at them, but we're not a judge. And if you ever want to break, you can just say we want to break, and that's fine with us.
So now let's begin the process. Who called for this mediation?
I did.
So just again, if you feel like you don't like anything someone says, we're not going to raise our voices or use bad language. You just write it down, and when it's your turn, we'll get to you, and you can let us know what you wrote down.
So we went to court, and the court suggested that we go to mediation and try it out and see if this process will help us. So I've lived in my home for a very long time, and I've lived in the neighborhood for a really long time. I've seen the neighborhood change from when I first moved in to now, and I don't like it. It's very unsafe. Recently, someone spray painted in front of my house, which really frustrated me and upset me because that's my property. How dare they trespass on my property and then destroy it by spray painting some nonsense on it. I tried to clean it up, but then the chemicals were so disgusting, I couldn't deal with it. I called a professional to see if they could remove it, and it would cost around $700. I'm on a fixed income. I can't afford to do that, and now I have to look outside in front of my property and see this mess and stuff. The neighborhood is dangerous. There's people, robbing each other. And last week there was a boy that got killed over a cell phone. It's ridiculous. I just want it to go away. I just want something to happen and something to be done.
Okay, and what do you guys like to do?
Well, all I know, I got a call from the courthouse telling me to come here to the Community Dispute Resolution Center. Now, I want to know why you called this and what does this have to do with my son. All I want is my son's skateboard, and I want it now.
So before we go on, you're just feeling upset about a skateboard.
I'm very upset because, that's what happened. Nobody has the right to confiscate my son's personal property.
And I also would like to know why my child was threatened.
And why was he threatened? What is going on?
Well, because I caught him spray painting in front of my house. And I chased after him, and he left his skateboard, and I was like, I know this kid. This is his skateboard. And I was like, how dare he come on my property and defile it with his spray painting and stuff? And then he got the nerve to just walk away or try to run away and leave the scene of a crime. Because that is a crime. And that's why we're
Well,
here.
if you knew who he was, then you should have kept to us, the parents. You don't take my son's property and then threaten him.
As a parent, you
So
should know where
for-
your son is.
You feel upset about the neighborhood being dangerous, or you don't feel safe. You're a longtime resident. You don't like how the neighborhood is changing, and you need protection. And you feel like your son's personal space or things were violated, and you didn't agree.
My son
I
told
told
me.
him my
things were-
personal space was violated as well.
No, my son told me, and he spoke to me about it. He said he was outside with a friend talking when you came out and you chased him out.
Oh, he was talking? He wasn't
They
talking.
were talking in front of the neighbor's house
Did you
2
see him
evenings
or
ago.
did you see his friend with the spray paint? Or did you merely you didn't have you were aware that the spray paint was there beforehand? Maybe they were just standing in front of
No,
it?
I clean in front of my house every day. There was no spray paint before. Then all of a sudden, these two guys, one's on a skateboard, all of a sudden they're riding on my property, and I was just like, this has to stop.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that you feel unhappy because
Of course I'm
your
unhappy.
property has been violated.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
Well, my husband and I bought the place. You know, we started our family there. The kids are all moved out. My husband's deceased. And, you know, we worked really hard to move from where we were to a nice neighborhood. And all of a sudden, throughout the years, this neighborhood has become trashy. People don't treat it with respect anymore. And I feel like I was disrespected when their kid came on my property and spray painted it.
In other words, you also feel that something that you worked so hard for has
Was
been
ruined.
devalued.
Exactly.
And with you guys felt as though.
I'm beyond frustrated right now. Beyond.
It's
So tell me more about
like
that.
as an adult, she should have came to us if he felt that our kid was behaving in such activity. She should have came to us and said, "Well, I think your kid spray painted in front of my house, and I feel like maybe there should be some kind of workout plan or something like that to some kind of payment or whatever. If she truly felt that someone damaged her property, she felt that our kid was responsible."
So do you guys actually know each other on a friendly basis? Like, do you guys
I'm
speak?
aware of her being in the neighborhood, but not
We don't really
basically probably high five, probably. Absolutely.
So we can be here to help move this situation along. You guys are going to decide the outcome if we can come to an agreement. If not, we'll get to that.
Well, yeah, she has to give back the skateboard.
We're gonna start kind of guiding to an outcome. So, we're gonna start with you, and you're gonna give us we have your need about protection of a neighborhood, valuing your personal property. It seems like you have a need and value of personal property. So right there, we both have the same common interest of personal property. So we're gonna start have you guys start generating options. So we're gonna start with you, and if you guys would just kindly let her talk, and when we get to you, just write things down that you would want to see happen. So we both have the same needs of personal property, respect, things along that line. So if you want to start about things you would like to see happen, not necessarily with them, but in your neighborhood and things that would make you happy during this mediation.
Well, I mean, it would be nice for people to clean up after themselves in the neighborhood. It would be nice for us to have block parties like we used to have, or cookouts that we used to have. That would be nice. But with these kids nowadays, they'll probably steal your coat from on you and stuff like that. And I just feel like there's no sense of community in our neighborhood. There's no friendship. There's no anything like that. Everyone's out for themselves.
Okay, so what you're saying is you would want that feeling back of a sense of community,
Yeah, absolutely.
and people take personal responsibility for their actions.
Exactly.
And an example you gave was block parties. You would like to start to maybe get to know the community better and
Or
create
have
a
like a
rapport with them.
neighborhood cookout and stuff where like everyone, barbecues and hamburgers and hot dogs and stuff like that. We used to have that back in the day, and I think the kids need it nowadays. They need family and stuff.
So
Now, really quick, you guys said that she's taking your son's skateboard, and you guys aren't too happy with her threatening.
It's a very
Right.
expensive item that was taken.
Aside from that's our child's cherished skateboard, the neighbor also threatened our child.
How did that also make you feel?
I feel like that should have never happened. An adult should never threaten a child, especially if that adult has no relationship to that child. That's not really intended.
They were waving a baseball bat and yelling.
It was
I
dark.
am appalled.
It was dark. It was late at night. I didn't know who it was when I came outside. So if I'm in a house by myself and I know that the neighborhood is bad, of course I'm going to protect myself. Did I know that when I opened the door there was going to be 2 kids? No, I didn't.
So, how would you guys feel about maybe a sense of community, of everyone getting to know each other before we get to other interests? How would you guys feel about maybe a block party, what she brought up, or something along the lines of a sense of community where everyone can meet and share their common interests?
I felt before that time was going to have to be some type of conversation or talking, you can't have people running after baseball, running after kids with baseball. That's something that you sit down and have a barbecue next week.
So what
I
you're
want to have
basically
hamburgers
saying
with you
is,
and you running after my kid with baseball.
so basically, you're feeling safe with the children in the neighborhood, and you're feeling safe with the elders in the neighborhood threatening the children.
Just like how a kid can be a nuisance, and an older person can also be a nuisance.
Oh,
So-
so you're trying to say that I'm a nuisance to the neighborhood? Is that what
Can you
you're
just
trying to
write things down before, and then when we get to you, we'll go over. We're just
I
gonna want
thought
to
he
let
was done talking.
everybody speak, and then you just write things down and you write things down, so we don't have to interrupt each other. So, what would you guys feel like is good for this situation? Because when you look at it, you want to understand both sides. You want to understand her frustrations of being in a neighborhood for a long time,
And watching it change.
and having her personal property vandalized. And you also want to look at his personal standpoint of he's a kid, and maybe certain steps could happen, and certain things we can do to reduce or even stop kids from coming out to lawns. But we just want to keep in mind, an open mind for both sides of the story and what both people are going through, because you both have the same needs as you want to be respected. So if there are some options we can generate to make that happen.
The point here is that she was talking to our kid and took his skateboard. This was an insult. She could start off with an apology, but even then, we're ready to counter suit for them.
I
So
would like
what
to
would-
understand why she never came to us.
So what would you, if you had an apology, and then you also gave an apology, if you think about both things that are happening, vandalizing and taking property, both people are upset, and both people feel like they are owed an apology. Is there a way you can start there?
Yeah,
and then
she
maybe-
decided.
I'm actually, me and my wife were talking about this. More than three things. I want to know where's the skateboard, and I also want to know why we had no explanation prior to this as to why she felt that it was our kid per se that had done the damage to her house, and we also like the mom.
What would you like to see happen?
I would like for the damage on my property to go away, and I would like an apology also from your son. He scared the bejesus out of me that night, and I'm an old lady. I hurt myself chasing after him and his stupid skateboard, and you don't see me here complaining. Oh, I want an apology, but I mean, it's the decent thing to do, for their son to, say, oh, I'm sorry, lady, I didn't know, or I mean, your kid did something that they shouldn't have been doing. First of all.
Well, we heard them voice something very important. They felt that it would have been better for you to actually approach them and speak to them on the subject.
So how do you feel about that?
I mean, I was scared, and looking back at the situation, maybe I handled things in a way that I shouldn't have.
So what would you guys feel about maybe from what you're both telling us is you inform your child about property boundaries and where to go, and if it ever happens again, you make sure
What?
to inform them, and if something happens like that, maybe the law has to be involved.
Well, I mean, it shouldn't happen again. Why would it happen again? He did it once, then, where's he getting this idea from that it's okay to do that?
So how would it make you feel how would you guys feel about maybe informing the child about property
We
boundaries?
can sit there with our kid and talk to him. It still doesn't change the fact that she assaulted our kid, waved the bat, screamed. Still, the skateboard is nowhere to be found. So,
I feel like she took the skateboard as a collateral for the apology, rather than, hey, I found this skateboard. Well, she said, I have reason to believe that you may actually take over the house. I feel like that would have been the adult way to go about it, rather than just take the skateboard and say, what, he probably is sleeping and I'm going to take his skateboard. I'm going to do that as an adult.
So in terms of options, generating options, what would you guys collectively like to see happen?
I mean, if he was worried about the skateboard, then he should have came to me and been like, hi, I was the one that, I was here the other night, you took my skateboard.
So you,
If he would have done that, then we wouldn't be here in this situation.
So if you have the skateboard,
I'm not saying I have, but I'm saying, like, if I did have the skateboard, then he should have came to me and been like, oh, you know, I was wondering if you had my skateboard.
Did say-
I know what it is.
So we're just getting.
So if you want to start generating options here, pushing you guys in the right direction, if you had the skateboard and you guys received the skateboard back, what would you like to see happen? Would that be something we could work with? And realizing and understanding both sides of the story, how people are upset, and the needs for both of you are personal space, property, and protection and respect.
Also,
So both of you have respect needs, and there has to be something we can work towards as adults to realize maybe both people could have done something different and start generating options of what you can both do to make this not happen again and to make you guys feel better.
and I'm also hearing that you guys are actually wanting that personal connection in the sense where if something were to happen, you would want the other party to come and speak to you about it. So do you feel like that would be something that could
So what are some things you'd like to see happen and to help get this resolved?
Well, she had mentioned that, according to her, she saw our kid and a friend in front of her house spray painting and ran out and left the skateboard behind. So that indicates that she has the skateboard. So if she could give us back the skateboard and, admit that she took it and apologize for not coming to us complaining about her kid, I can sit with my kid and talk to him and maybe even use the only $500 I have in my bank account for therapy. But that's not gonna happen because she is not giving us what we want.
so they're willing to pay that $500 for your therapeutic recovery, I guess. And all they're asking in return is for the skateboard back and an apology.
Therapy is for
Oh, for the
child.
So you would like for her
To give us the skateboard, come to us, tell us what exactly happened because we haven't noticed he is acting funny, but we don't know what happened. We don't know what's going on. Instead of chasing our kid away, screaming and flinging a bat, it could have been of use for us to know that he was
So
doing that.
you're saying you'd be willing to talk to your child about personal respect, which is her issue, if you receive a skateboard and an apology.
Yeah.
So your issue is the respect part. So they're saying they'd be willing to teach their child respect and help your needs and issues that you have
and in
In
return they just
return.
want the skateboard
in
and
the
an
apology.
apology.
So both your needs are
Well, your accusation that I took the skateboard is incorrect because the skateboard was on my property. So if it's on my property, then technically it belongs to me. That's the issue with the skateboard. The second issue is why I was running around the street with a bat. It's because it was the middle of the night, and all of a sudden I hear things outside of my house. I'm gonna go outside and investigate. Maybe I should have called the cops instead, and maybe had the cops deal with it. But I didn't. I took it upon myself, and I went out to investigate. When I went outside, that's when I saw, the spray paint, and I saw the kids, and then all of a sudden they just ran away.
So if,
I'm gonna chase them to see, who did this.
so they started generating options of what they'd like to see happen. Can you comment on their options and what you'd like to see happen other than the story? Because can you start?
Well,
Bring
I
some
want an apology.
Okay, so
If it's not, if it's not from them, then at least from their son. I would really appreciate that.
okay, so you guys are saying you'd want an apology, the skateboard, and you're willing to help her with her respect of your child, and you're saying you want.
They're not saying that either. They're saying that they're going to take money for the son to have therapy. Therapy for what?
Right, well, our son did not tell us. His story was totally different. He said he was working on an art project in school. That's where the pain comes from. And that he was talking in front of your home when you came and you chased him away with the bat.
So we have.
So what makes your story true and not his?
Well, I don't know. Maybe your son is lying.
Or maybe you have the skateboard.
What we have so far is we found a common ground that both of you want an apology. You're also about your respect is going to be taken care of with them figuring out what's going on with their child and informing their child. And also, they wanted their skateboard back. So if you be able to get the skateboard back along with an apology, and you'd be able to give an apology along with helping your child with respect, which is her option. How's that make you guys feel?
I mean, I'm willing to give the skateboard back if he's willing to actually come to me and apologize for scaring me and for being where he wasn't supposed to be. That's fine. Or at least, just like, he scared me. He really did. I thought something was going to happen to me. And that's why I had the bat in my hand and I was prepared. I might have scared him in chasing after him. I realize that now. But, I would like for him to come to me and maybe we can talk about it.
Are you guys okay with that option?
I mean, this is good. I'm okay with the apology. I will accept an apology from her. But she wants, one-on-one conversation with the kid when we're the parents. So this from the beginning, you should have came to us. It's okay that now you want to come and apologize, but the issue with our child is with us. So I would like for you not to request to speak to my child. You already assaulted him. I already assaulted him by doing what exactly? By taking his property, his skateboard, and coming after him with a bat.
That's not assault.
Alright. So, we're gonna have a quick caucus. Right? Because right now things aren't really, how do you say, matching. Alright? So if you could all just.
Yeah. No, you would say.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I call this caucus because I see that when it comes to coming up with a solution, all she's really asking for is just an apology from the child, but you're actually protecting him from that. So, like, is there anything going on?
We don't want an elder person, trying to manipulate our kid to just be like, I saw you do it, you did it, we don't mind all of us having, that conversation, like, hey, did you ride the Street Kings lady's house? Did you see you do it, did you do it, we'd rather not have that kind of conversation, so that we, as parents, can protect our child from having this lady, sit there and try to, the child does not have the ability to try to sit there and argue with an adult who might, try to impose that fear in them. Like, hey, you did this, you're gonna do that,
So you feel a lot better if you guys were present with the child to actually speak.
Not only that, we've actually been really worried about our child's state of mind. He's been very quiet and withdrawn, and to have her confront him, it's like, we're the parents. We have to be there. It's not something that they can talk one-on-one about.
So you're pretty much afraid of her
Yeah.
over dominating him.
Yes.
In that sense.
Not only that, it's just because, he's been so withdrawn, and we don't know what exactly is going on with him.
So-
He obviously had a traumatic experience with his best friend.
Yes.
He's not really in the best state right now.
So you guys are fine with him meeting with her as long as you're there? Okay.
You know,
Okay, so we want to bring her back in. Yeah, you guys can go outside.
Okay, so we call this because, again, we sense that things were getting a little bit tense. Is there anything going on that you would like to speak on now that they're not in the room?
Sure. Like, when they're their son was outside of my house late at night. It scared me. And the whole spray painting was like another instance of how the neighborhood has gone down. And, you know, there's like gang fights and all this other stuff, and it was just like, you know, it's unnecessary. And I feel like maybe their child is caught up in that. And if they're caught in spray painting, then what's next for their child? You know, are they doing the right things as parents? Are they involved in their child's life?
So you're pretty much worried about how they're raising their children.
Yeah, I'm worried about his future. You know, yeah, I'm upset that there was this spray painting and stuff. And back in my day, like, if there was a kid that did something, then you talk to the kid, and somehow the kid would like pay you back or whatever.
So what you brought up is you wanted to speak to the child.
I did. I would have like, yeah, I do have the skateboard. And I figured like if he was, you know, raised right, then he would come to my door.
So how do you feel about them bringing the child to therapy?
He needs therapy, the child.
So what they brought up before about him going to therapy, along with talking to you and an apology, does that work for you? Everything you guys have generated so far. There's a lot on the table, a lot of agreement. You just need to put it together when you guys can. So can you agree with what they brought up before and what you brought up?
Okay, I'll bring back the skateboard. That's fine. I'll apologize to the kid, you know, to the boy, to their son, if you know, if I scared him in any way. But I also want an apology from him because he scared me.
Okay.
So-
And he, you know, he messed up my property.
So
In addition, you know, I have damages that are around $700. So if he can't pay that because he's a kid and the parents can't pay that either, then he has to sort of work, come to an agreement with me, or all three of us can come to an agreement about how he's gonna, you know, fix this break thing, what he's gonna do to work it out.
Okay, so we can bring it back.
Is there a fight about this, or are we in something?
okay. So after speaking with you both separately, I'm pretty sure that you guys are very much on the same page. Okay. You guys agreed on the apology. You guys agreed on meeting up with each other and speaking if anything were to happen again. There were certain things that were said in the caucus, of course, that we can't speak on. In terms of the apologies, what we can do, or what you guys can do, is basically bring the child over to her, and she'll, of course, apologize, and he'll apologize also to you guys present. Okay, there's certain things that you guys are worried about, so you guys will be there as a safeguard, just your safety measures. And in your case, you'll get what you want from him apologizing to you. You can return the skateboard as, you know, as a reward for his apology. Does that sound good?
And he has to work off the damages that we did.
So you have damage. So what would you want to see someone work?
Well,
How would you guys feel about something about maybe getting rid of the spray paint?
Well, I agree that we go over there and we discuss what happened, and I'll ask him, you know, if he admits to have done it, we can work and we can have the rebate to take care of the damages.
Pretty much work off the debt.
Right, I mean, they, you know, they spray painted it so they can fix that, we can fix that.
So does that work for everybody?